Good afternoon and welcome to Midcap Radar. I'm Vivek Iyer and with me today is Mangalam. Good afternoon, Mangalam. As you can see on the top of your screen, a sharp recovery from what was essentially a very sharp sell-off yesterday. The Nifty Bank is the only index that's actually sulking in the session today.
Absolutely. It's the Nifty IT stocks which are doing extremely well for the frontline indices, though it is the weekly options expiry and there are a lot of calls which are written at 23,250. So whether we cross past that hump or not is something that we'll keep an eye out on. News at the bottom of your screen, but we'll keep an eye out on all the top stories that we're tracking this afternoon. Stocks resumed their climb after a shaky start with the mid-caps in the lead. Consumer durables, IT, the prominent gainers, while oil and gas along with private banks are the draggers.
Pidilite beats estimates on volume growth, riding on strong traction in the B2B business. Stock gains over 6.5% in the session.
Midcap IT, the theme of the day, Coforge and Persistent Systems log in strong growth and guide for continued growth momentum in the foreseeable future on the back of their strong order pipeline. Both stocks jump.
Citi opens a 90-day positive catalyst watch on PB Fintech with a buy call and a target price of 2,000 rupees a share. Says they expect the company's new business growth to sustain in retail protection, retail health and the savings business.
Oil marketing stocks under pressure after BPCL misses estimates after reporting lower than expected gross refining margins and higher marketing inventory losses. Management tells CNBC-TV18 they are assessing the impact of Russian sanctions. Right, so as promised, we have a bunch of mid-caps which are buzzing around today, but right now we are seeing some traction in the metal space as well. JSW Steel, for instance, has moved to the high point of trade after a lot of drubbing that we've seen in the earlier part of the week. Trent too is attempting a bit of a recovery. Trent, remember, is down 8% this week, currently has moved higher, but it's the mid-caps where all the action is. Nearly 2 stocks advancing for every stock which is declining. Among that, the biggest gainers are the mid-cap IT stocks. If you look at the top gainers in the F&O space, 7 out of the top 15 have to be all from the mid-cap IT pack itself. And then you have all of these, EMS players, the likes of Amberent, etc., picking up some pace as well. Keynes Tech up another 6%. So let's get you the mid-cap movers. We have Upasna, Vamakshi, as always, to join in and tell us about all the mid-caps that are moving around in trade today. Vamakshi.
Well, good afternoon, Mangalam. Like you rightly said, it's a good day for the mid-cap index. When you look at some of the top gainers today, that includes Amber Enterprises. KEI is another counter that is a buzz in trade today. Oracle Financial Services, that stock is also seeing a good uptick of almost 5%. Bharat Dynamics started at a very low point, but then it has moved up. It's up nearly 5%. Keynes Tech has been declining over the last couple of sessions. Now that stock is also seeing a strong jump. Earnings reaction, let's look at stocks that are reacting to a good set of numbers. A Go Digit, that is up nearly 17%. Zensar Technology is the one that we're talking about. That is also seeing a strong surge on the back of its numbers. Coforge and Persistent also up and away in trade today. But apart from that, we also have a couple of IT stocks that are reacting. Sonata Software, Birla Soft, Cyient, as well as Emphasis. All of these counters are seeing gains anywhere between 4 to 6%. On the flip side, there are some stocks that are declining in trade today. That includes Hutco. The company reported its numbers. That stock is down nearly 2.7%. Tata Communications also down and out after the company reported its numbers. EIH as well as Inox Wind are some of the other counters that are down in trade. Lastly, let's take a look at all the counters that are moving on the back of strong volumes as well. Rainbow Medicare, Polycab and Timken India are gaining on the back of strong volumes, and Nuvoco and Alembic Pharma are down and up in trade.
Thank you so much, Vamakshi, for joining us and taking us through all of the mid-caps that are moving around the session. But now moving on to the Karnataka mineral bill, we understand that the Karnataka governor has returned the bill. Sudarshan, who earlier too got us these exclusive details, joins us with more details on this latest development.
So if you remember, last month we had reported that Karnataka Legislative Assembly had passed the mineral tax bill, raising 2 major points. First one was retrospective tax, and this tax was as per the Supreme Court order, and second, increasing the duty on mining. Now what I have been communicated from Karnataka Governor's office, that Karnataka Governor has decided to return the bill to Karnataka government seeking certain clarification. And Karnataka Governor is seeking clarification after some of the mining associations have approached Governor saying that associations have certain concerns related to certain clauses that government has mentioned in the bill, and those concerns are related to not only retrospective tax but also increase in the duty. And some of the stocks that will will be in focus. First one is NMDC because Karnataka forms nearly 35% to the total mix. Second is JSW Steel because JSW Steel sources major quantities of iron ore from NMDC. And last, Vedanta and Sandur Manganese, they are major iron ore producers in Karnataka. One thing, recently Union Steel Minister S.D. Kumaraswamy had met Law Minister and NMDC discussing these issues and what are the issues that mining associations in Karnataka are facing and how to approach the state government and convince them to take the bill back. Now, last thing that has to be in focus because in the case of state, this is a normal process for the passage of any bill. If governor has certain concerns, he or she does write back to government saying that these concerns have to be addressed. It should not be taken that this bill will not be passed. This is the normal process that governor is following.
All right, we take that point. Thank you so much for bringing that to us, Sudarshan. As a result of which, we are seeing a big move in NMDC as well. We'll watch out for that stock along the stocks that Sudarshan has also mentioned. JSW Steel moving to the high point of trade. The Karnataka governor has sought clarifications on the bill itself. A big up move is what we've seen. But let's move on. Let's take a short break. And as we do that, some good news coming in for all you viewers. India's business news leaders is now a click away, introducing CNBC-TV18's all-new app. You can get instant access to breaking news, in-depth analysis, and financial world updates at your fingertip. All you have to do is download this CNBC-TV18 app. Looks something like this that you can see. You can either download it from the Apple Store or the Google Play Store, or the QR code which is there on your screen. You can go ahead, scan that, and you will get the link to download the app. And then you have all the business world updates at your fingertips. Take a short break, come back.
Welcome back to Midcap Radar. Well, a few PSU banks are rebounding in trade. Have a look at names like PNB, Bank of Baroda, also a few NBFC stocks, housing finance names like LIC Housing Finance. These are some of the stocks that have managed to scale to the day's highest point. On the other hand, some of the cable and wireless stocks, some of them who have taken quite a bit of a beating in the last couple of trading sessions, doing very well in today's trading session. Havells now near the day's highest point. KEI Industries is another name that's doing quite well, and Polycab, after the over 6% fall which it saw yesterday, today too has rebounded quite smartly. On the other hand, one particular stock that's seen a very sharp sell-off suddenly is actually AU Small Finance Bank. Now, this particular stock is down over 3.5% in the session at the day's lowest point. That's AU Small Finance Bank seeing an accelerated sell-off in the last 15-20 minutes of the session. But moving on, let's now dive into the growth code, an initiative by Grow and CNBC-TV18, which offers valuable insights and strategies to help you make well-informed trading decisions. This week, CNBC-TV18's Nigel D'Souza interviewed pro trader Rajesh Baheti, Managing Director, Crossius Capital Services, and asked him about risk management practices for algo trading.
Well, what kind of risk management practices should retail investors adopt when using algo trading strategies?
So the main thing is, obviously, you've got to define what will be your capital risk at risk per trade. That's the fundamental core of any trading principle, that you don't put all your capital at risk at once. Because in trading, because it's a leverage trade, there is a chance that your entire capital can get wiped out. We've seen options go from 100 to 0. And the lure of the option is that it can also go from 1 to 100 or 10 to 1,000. So that's the reason people get into it. But if you get into it at the wrong time, you don't use your capital wisely, that 100 can also, 1,000 can go to 0. So the first principle of algorithmic trading, or any trading, would be to allocate smaller bits of capital per strategy to make sure that you're still in the market, irrespective of what the outcome of that particular strategy is. So if you look at most algorithms, they will definitely be having a stop loss, which either a particular investor can set for himself, or these are preset. So in that sense, algorithmic trading actually makes trading safer for you because of these pre-coded stop losses, and beyond a certain point, you will just be stopped out and no more trades will take place. So from that point of view, it's a better risk management tool than pure trading on your gut, because sometimes then you will get emotionally invested in a trade and not book losses when you ideally ought to be booking losses. So from that point of view, I think it's a good risk management tool.
Welcome back. It's very interesting what's taking place in the market right now. The Nifty is up 100 points. How is that? Because the Nifty Bank, which was underperforming at the start of trade, is now begun to pick pace, and that's because HDFC Bank is the one which is recovering from the lows. If you pull up the intraday chart of HDFC Bank, you'll see that it's lending its weight to the Nifty Bank. But what's pressurizing the Nifty right now is Reliance, which is currently at the low point of trade. So this battle of heavyweights continues on the frontline index. Reliance has moved to the low point of trade. So let's see where it goes from here on. Remember, it is weekly options expiry today. But one stock which is buzzing in trade today is Paras Defence. It's signed a memorandum of understanding with the Maharashtra government to develop a 12,000 crore rupee optics park project in Navi Mumbai. To discuss this and more, we have Amit Mahajan, who's the Director Technical and R&D at Paras Defence with us. Amit, thank you so much for joining in. The street is excited about the prospect, but MOUs are known to typically fizzle out over a period of time. What we want to understand from you is, one, how hard is your commitment here? What is the timeline of the commitment? And this 12,000 crore rupees, does this entire amount go from your kitty? And if yes, how do you raise this?
So firstly, thank you for having me on this show. If I want to take you back to the last announcement about Optics Park, is when the chairman of ISRO came to our facility and we announced that we want to do something like this. At the back end, we already started planning for an Optics Park, and hence this MOU comes as a part of that. Now, when I have to talk about Optics Park, if you look at 12,000 crores, this will be phased in, say, approximately a span of 10 years. And this need not come directly a part of Paras Defence, but can be done using capital markets. It can be done using investor outreach that we have. It can be done using funding. It can be done using FDI. There are very many instruments which will fuel this particular Optics Park. Paras Defence will be the flag bearer of this particular project. Now,
can you, sorry, I'm sorry, I had to interject here, because when you say capital markets, FDI, etc., can you tell us over 10 years whether this investment will be front-loaded, back-ended? What is the annual investment program here? And when you mean capital, raising, does this mean that you will have to raise funds from the capital markets, or 12,000 crores? We're just trying to understand here. Yeah.
So I see, because 12,000 crores is a very big figure, and maybe everybody, the common man, will not be able to understand. So let me try and break it down for you. We look at semiconductor as a technology, and today the whole world, or especially India, is buzzing with semiconductor technology. Now, when we look at semiconductor technology, a part of semiconductor, or maybe a large part of semiconductor, is also optical technology. What we today see as optics is India is absolutely not self-sufficient when it comes to optics. Even a single small security camera which is put up in your office is not made in India. Now, when we are talking about this is, although they claim, everybody claims that it is manufactured in India, a lot of internal components are still outsourced. And outsourced, when I'm saying, they are imported. Now, when I'm trying to build an optics park, the vision that Paras has is to bring, including the optics, bring the sensor technology, bring a lot of semiconductor technology associated with it, a lot of academia we want to establish, so that we
understood that. Yeah, the press release and the graphics that are going on the screen, explain that quite clearly. What we want to understand from the shareholders' point of view is, out of the 12,000 crore that you have committed over a period of the next 10 years, what is it that Paras Defence will be spending? What is it that you will be spending from the internal accruals that you already have? How much will you be raising from the capital markets? And will you be taking on any debt to fund this particular commitment?
We would be not doing it it will be partially ramping up as and when required, depending upon the internal accruals that we have. Optics becomes our biggest business. So yes, I do not want to put a percentage on internal accrual that we will be spending on, but we will use internal accruals. We will use our customers' fundings. We will be using funding from institutions. We will be using fundings from foreign direct investments. We'll be using also raising, raising, say, a QIP through capital markets. So
Mr.
there are
Mahajan,
very many instruments which will fuel the.
We understand the very many instruments which are there, but what we don't understand is internal accruals. How are you going to conjure up this money? Because I'm looking at your cash from operating activity. Last year it was negative 46 crores. Your annual revenue is just around 250 crores. Your entire market cap, given the sort of defense push that we've seen, is close to 4,000 crores. 12,000 crores is 3 times your market cap. So, just to understand the magnitude of funding which is required, we want to understand better how much will you fund immediately, what is the proportion of money which goes out of your books immediately to this, and how do you intend to get this money back as well in terms of business opportunity?
That is the insight which I was trying to give you. Today, when you look at Paras, you're looking at Paras only as a defense and space manufacturing company. If you look at optics as in general as a technology, I want you to look at optics from defense, from space, definitely, and we are the leaders there. You look at optics from automotive, you look at optics from medical, you look at optics from commercial. It is a huge, huge market. Now, when we're looking at such a huge market, when you have vision which is set up to this level, then the whole planning happens as per the vision. You do not have to restrict your growth depending upon what you are doing today, rather than looking at what you should bring our nation to the self-reliance of optical technology. You have to look at a larger vision. You cannot look at what I'm trying to do right now, only defense and space. Optics is a very, very relatively smaller market. If you look at all these agriculture, medical, automotive, industrial, commercial markets, then it's a billions of dollars industry. We are looking at that.
Understood that. Understood. Thank you so much, sir, for joining us, giving us a sense. We would have liked some more details in terms of the exact commitment Paras is doing, but we do understand the kind of vision that you're trying to explain to the market. But with that, it's all the time we have on this edition of Midcap Radar Mutual Fund Corner. When we return.